Chemistry without clarity is not connection. We fall in love with packaging. We do it in relationships, in hiring, in friendships, in leadership. We see the shine, the confidence, the presentation, and we decide that what we see is what we get. We mistake the wrapping for the gift. And then we wonder why we end up disappointed, drained, or devastated when the truth finally shows up. I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Jeanette Johnson, a woman whose wisdom cuts through the noise and whose life has taught her that survival sharpens your ability to see what is real. Jeanette is a mother of three who lost her oldest son to gun violence 4 years ago. Every day since then has been a battle to keep living, to keep showing up for herself and her children, to keep choosing joy even while carrying grief. She told me that life can change in the blink of an eye, that nothing is guaranteed, and that she has learned to stop romanticizing appearances because reality has already taught her how fragile everything is. And yet she still considers herself one of the happiest people she knows. That kind of clarity does not come from theory, it comes from truth. It comes from pain that has been transformed into purpose. It comes from a woman who has looked death in the face and chosen to keep living anyway. Jeanette Johnson is not just surviving, she is teaching the rest of us how to see clearly in a world that profits from our blindness. And the truth Jeanette shared with me is this: chemistry without clarity is not connection. Let me say that again. Chemistry without clarity is not connection. We live in a world that celebrates speed. We swipe right, we fall fast, we commit early, we attach before we even know who we are attaching to. And we do it because the feeling is intoxicating. The attraction is real, the chemistry is undeniable, but chemistry is not evidence. Chemistry is not proof. Chemistry is not a foundation. And if you build a relationship on chemistry alone, you are building on sand. Social psychology research has shown us for decades that people form rapid judgments based on appearance and presentation. We see someone who looks polished, who speaks confidently, who says all the right things, and we assume we know them. But those judgments are incomplete. They are often inaccurate, and they can lead us into relationships that look good on the surface but crumble under the weight of reality. Let me tell you about a woman Jeanette shared with me. A woman in her 30s who met a man who seemed like everything she had been waiting for. He was polished, confident, emotionally available, or at least that is what he appeared to be. He said all the right things early. He texted consistently. He showed up when he said he would, at least in the beginning. The relationship moved fast, and she let it because the connection felt exciting. It felt like destiny. It felt like the answer to every prayer she had whispered in the dark. But what she mistook for destiny was really just speed without structure. She had been longing for love that felt secure. She had spent years building her career, holding down her household, showing up for everyone else. And when this man arrived, it felt like her turn had finally come. The intensity felt too good to question. She ignored the early inconsistencies because the chemistry was so strong. She confused attention with care. She confused pursuit with being truly known. She let the packaging convince her that the gift inside it was already wrapped and ready. But eventually, she slowed down. She started asking harder questions. She started paying attention to patterns instead of promises. And what she realized was painful but necessary. Charm can hide avoidance. Presentation can mask emotional unavailability. And true intimacy requires time. The relationship did not survive the shift from fantasy to reality, but she left with something more valuable than the relationship itself. She left with discernment. She reclaimed her standards. She stopped confusing being pursued with being known. And she learned to demand consistency before commitment. This is not just her story. This is the story of so many high achieving Black women who have spent years leading, building, holding down households, carrying communities, in longing for love that feels secure. And when someone shows up who looks like the answer, it is easy to mistake the packaging for the person. It is easy to fall in love with the image instead of the truth. Jeanette shared another story with me, this time about a Black professional who entered a promising relationship with someone whose public image looked strong and stable. On paper, everything appeared aligned: ambition, confidence, appearance, all of it created hope. The attraction began with all the right signals. This person had the career, the charisma, the presence. They spoke about their goals with passion. They presented themselves as someone who had it all together. But hope is not the same as evidence. Behind the image, there were signs of emotional unavailability and poor follow through. Small things at first, missed calls that were explained away, promises that were made but not kept, conversations that felt deep in the moment but led nowhere in practice. The mismatch between image and reality became clear only after attachment had already formed. And by then, the emotional investment was deep. The heart had already decided. The mind was just trying to catch up. The person eventually began evaluating the relationship through patterns of behavior, not image management. They strengthened their boundaries. They reduced their emotional pace. They stopped filling in the gaps with hope and started demanding that actions match words. And the relationship lost its grip once the truth became visible. The lesson was painful, but important. An impressive presentation does not guarantee relational maturity. Success in public life does not automatically translate into integrity in private life. You can be brilliant in the boardroom and broken in the bedroom. You can lead a team and still not know how to love a person. And if you do not slow down long enough to see the difference, you will give your heart to a fantasy. This is what Jeanette means when she says chemistry without clarity is not connection. You can feel something real and still be building on illusion. You can be attracted to someone and still not know who they are. And if you do not slow down long enough to learn the truth, you will give your heart to a fantasy. Research on healthy relationships consistently shows that long term stability is built through reliability, communication, and emotional responsiveness, not just strong early chemistry. Empirical work on self disclosure and pacing suggests that deeper bonds form over time. When people gradually learn each other's values, patterns, and emotional habits, they are better able to decide whether the relationship is truly safe and sustainable. But we skip that process. We rush past it. We treat attraction like proof and chemistry like commitment. And then we are shocked when the foundation cracks. Jeanette's life has taught her something that most of us are still learning. She told me that loss changed everything for her. It forced a deeper understanding that nothing should be taken for granted, not people, not relationships, not time. When life has already taught you how fragile everything is, you stop giving your heart away to appearances alone. You stop building on illusions. You start demanding truth. She chooses presence over performance. She chooses resilience over rushing. She chooses emotional honesty over the illusion of perfection. And even while carrying the weight of grief, she remains one of the happiest people she knows. Not because her life is easy, not because she has avoided pain, but because she has learned to see clearly. She has learned to protect her peace. She has learned that softness is not weakness, it is wisdom. And that wisdom is what she is offering to the rest of us. If more people adopted this mindset, there would be fewer rushed relationships, fewer emotional disappointments, and more intentional connections built on trust and truth. People would waste less time on presentation and invest more energy in finding partners, teammates, and leaders whose actions match their words. And that shift would not just change relationships, it would change workplaces, communities, and families. It would change the way we choose who gets access to our time, our energy, and our hearts. So, what does this mean for you? It means you have to Slow down before you attach. Attraction can be real, but it is not a substitute for character, consistency, or emotional safety. You have to watch behavior, not just presentation. People can say all the right things, but their actions reveal whether they are trustworthy, stable, and aligned with what they claim. And you have to remember that a strong relationship needs a foundation, not just feelings. If you want something lasting, you have to give yourself time to learn the real person before you give them access to your heart. This is not about being cynical. This is not about closing yourself off or refusing to trust. This is about being intentional. This is about protecting your peace as a practice. This is about refusing to confuse being pursued with being known. This is about demanding that the people who want access to your life prove through their actions that they are worthy of that access. Jeanette Johnson has survived what most of us fear. She has lost what most of us cannot imagine losing. And she is still here, still choosing joy, still choosing presence, still choosing truth. And she is telling us that we deserve more than chemistry. We deserve clarity. We deserve consistency. We deserve a foundation. And we deserve to take our time building it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop falling in love with the packaging. I want you to stop rushing into relationships because the chemistry feels good. I want you to start paying attention to patterns, not just promises. I want you to ask harder questions. I want you to slow down before you attach. I want you to protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. I want you to stop confusing attention with care. Stop confusing pursuit with being known. Stop giving your heart to people who have not earned it through their actions, their patterns, and their truth. Because chemistry without clarity is not connection. And you deserve connection that is real. You deserve love that is grounded. You deserve relationships that are built on truth, not fantasy. You deserve to be seen, not just pursued. You deserve to be known, not just wanted. So do not rush. Do not attach before you know. Do not confuse the wrapping for the gift. And do not give your heart to someone who has not earned it. Take your time. Ask your questions. Watch their actions. Protect your peace. And build your relationships on clarity, not just chemistry. Because the world will tell you to move fast. The world will tell you that if you do not commit quickly, you will miss your chance. The world will tell you that chemistry is enough. But Jeanette Johnson, a woman who has survived loss, who has chosen joy in the middle of grief, who has learned to see people clearly because life taught her that nothing is guaranteed, is telling you something different. She is telling you that you deserve more. And I am here to tell you the same thing. You deserve more than chemistry. You deserve clarity. You deserve consistency. You deserve a foundation. And you deserve to take your time building it. So slow down, pay attention, protect your peace, and build relationships that are real. Because chemistry without clarity is not connection. And connection, real connection, is worth the wait.